Okay, welcome back, folks. What we're going to talk about in this tutorial is some of Excel's date functions, time and date functions. Now, Excel has some very interesting pitfalls, I would say, when you're working with times and dates that you want to be aware of, and we're going to try to show you in this tutorial is make you aware of those pitfalls and also show you some of the functions. So, one of the first functions I want to show you is the function now. So, if you enter the function now, what it does is at the point in time when you press the enter key, it records the current system function as per your clock. So you notice down here in the lower right of the screen, I can see that I'm at 9:19 or 21:19, which is the time returned here. But keep your eye on that because we're going to come back and look at that and see what that says in a few minutes. So one of the real frustrating things about Excel is it has sort of autocorrect behavior that will try to outsmart you and automatically convert things to dates. You just need to be aware that this behavior is happening. So let's say you're recording some information maybe about your soldiers' performance on some common task skills or something. So you have this notion of going to put in 20 out of 20 questions right. So I put in 20 out of 20 like so, and I have 2 out of 20. So far so good. That's nothing out of the ordinary. If I say try maybe 12 out of 20, you can see that I automatically converted it into a date, which is not at all helpful. So when you think about, again, 12 out of 20 like so, this is recognized automatically as a date by Excel. 2 out of 20 is recognized automatically as a date by Excel. So you have to be really aware. You notice the first time I did it, it didn't do it. So you just got to be very, very careful about how Excel interprets that. If you're not sure what's going on, right-click, go to Format Cells, and look at, see, it automatically picked up a custom field here, which I didn't. The frustrating thing is, let's say, no, I want to turn it back into my original text, which was 12 out of 20. As soon as I do that, now I've got something totally different. So one more time, let's look at that. So 2 out of 20, that one's good. 2 out of 20 here, not good. And 12 out of 20, not good. If I go over here and convert it to text, I go 2 out of 20, and maybe 12 out of 20. Those aren't what I want, so you say, okay, I want to get smart here. I'm going to use my Excel Jiu-Jitsu, change this to a text. And as soon as I do that, I get these weird numbers. So if you absolutely want to be 100% sure that you get literally 2 out of 20 or 12 out of 20, just put a tick mark. So that is, I guess, a single quote, not a tick, a single quote, and you put 2/20, single quote, 12-20. And when you do that, you'll get what you want. You'll notice that the quote is preserved. If you look up here in the screen, in the formula bar, the quote is there, so you can know for sure what you're working with. Some other examples are where this run. Let's say you have 2nd Battalion, 2nd Regiment. So if I do 2-20, 2-2, I get that, which happens a lot in military organizations because you use a lot of the slashes sometimes. 2nd Battalion, 2nd Brigade, or whatever, you're going to run into some problems. So again, if you try to convert that to text, outsmart the system, you're going to get something totally different, and that's not what you want either. So the way to do it would be to do something like that. A single quote, 2 out of 20. You have the same problem with time. So let's say you have some soldiers or someone you're going to run a marathon in 3 hours and 10 minutes and 12 seconds. It's a nice time. So put in 3:10:12, and automatically converted it, as you can see in the formula bar, to 3:10:12 a.m., which is not necessarily the same. So if you try to add this or subtract it, now it's got a notion of a.m. p.m. You're going to run into some issues. Again, if I copy this and convert it to text, I've got, I guess that's like a fraction of a day or something. So it's really strange. If I really want just literally 3:10:12, I got to put a tick 3:10:12. And that's how you kind of preserve it. So that's the first thing to be aware of with Excel and dates. The second thing to kind of think about with dates is to think about date formatting. So let's say that I have some random dates here. I have a month column with some random months. I have day and year. And I want to put those together for some reason into a date. The easiest way to do that, if you don't need the notion of a date, you just want literally a string that is the representation as we know it as text, you can use a concatenate function. So concatenate, all concatenate does is it combines strings as text. So I have 9, which I want as text. So I concatenate 9 with a slash, with B2, which is 11, with another slash, with C2, which is my year, and that comes out as a nice clean date. It doesn't get auto-formatted. Excel thinks that this is text. It doesn't really know that it's date, and it's not trying to outsmart you on that. Let's say you want a real date. So this isn't really a real date from Excel's model point of view because Excel thinks it's text. It's ignoring it. But if you want Excel to know that that's a date, you can use the date function. So the date function is really simple. It's got 3 arguments, year, month, and day. So I just take my year, comma, I take my month, comma, I take my day, and now I've got the Excel representation. Notice another sort of nuance to this is when you have a text string, Excel will left format it. So if you see something pop over here on the right side of a cell, that means that Excel has picked it up as some special format. If it's formatted to the hard left of the cell, that means it's text. That's another kind of way you can sense when Excel is kind of getting ahead of you. If I copy this down, now I'm going to have my dates like I want. So that's one way you can make sure that you have a date is start with the raw figures for month, date, year, and build a date with a date function. Then you know you've got exactly what you want. So if you're going to do a lot of adding and subtractions with dates, I can tell you from experience what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to work with months, days, and years, split those apart, do your adding and subtracting for years or dates, and then build it back. So don't try to add and subtract off this, break it into its components, etc. Okay, so let's talk about that really quick. Okay, so I've got this concatenate function. I'm going to make this permanent by just copying some of this data. Copy. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to paste special because I want it. This is a concatenate function. I don't want that. I want really the real value. So I go over here to home. I do a paste special values, and now I've got just raw text. So let's say that you want to break this into its principal components of month, day, and year. So I can highlight the text. I go to data, text to columns. I bring up my text to column wizard. It says, do you want it delimited or fixed? Mine is delimited by the slash. So I could just put in the other symbol, put in a slash. You can see here, oh, Excel's already picked up my columns. It's exactly what I want. Next, it says, what do you want to format it is? I usually leave general here. I don't want to read too much into this. It asks me where you want to put it, destination. I'm going to click over here on G2, and I hit finish. And now I have my 3 columns. So that's one way you can really quickly unpack a string of data if you want to get it, again, into my recommendation. If you're going to do a lot of adding and subtracting and functions with dates, break it into its principal components of month, day, and year. Alright, so you have the same sorts of functions for time, but before we do that, let's go check on our now function and see what's happening. Okay, so now is at 2128. That looks pretty good. So will that always be the case? Will it always update? We'll find out in a second. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Going over to the time format, you'll see here I have, my hour, 9:50, 9 seconds. If you use the concatenate here, it's not quite as clean because you have this digit issue. So typically when we have 0.9 seconds, we'll have 0.9, but here it's just 9. So a concatenate function doesn't work. So it's a little bit trickier. You have to use some if-thens if you want to pad some extra zeros in there. But you can use the time function to turn into a legitimate time. Time is hours, minutes, and seconds. Okay, so now it's 9:50 a.m. So that's a little frustrating. So maybe I don't want 9 a.m. p.m. I can go to format cells. There's different time formats. I could do 24-hour time, something like that. You can format it just in minutes and seconds. So there's a lot of power in the formatting here with time that you can work with. Let's see how that works. Okay, so yeah, that format worked pretty well. It didn't try to AM PMize anything. It just left everything as a raw time, and that's nice. What we wanted. All right, so you'll notice here back on the current time, I've got an issue. This is 21:29, but my clock down here says 2130. So there is some perils when you use the now. And it all comes down to when now is calculated. So now is going to be calculated anytime you update the worksheet. So similar to a RAND function or something like that, there'll be times when the worksheet gets automatically updated, like whenever you refresh it or something like that. If you want to be absolutely sure, you can go to formulas, go to the formula tabs, and go over here and calculate now. So if I hit calculate now it just updated to 2130. If you want to be absolutely sure, just re-enter it. If you're using it for something like a clock, you want to hit calculate now. It's interesting to note that if you add to that, so I can add a value to that, say I put 7, the default value is in days. So if I add a number to now minus 7. That didn't seem to work because I forgot my parentheses. Now minus 7. It was 7 days ago. So the default notion is days. If you want to get minutes or something like that, then you're going to have to convert that 7 into some notion of minutes. So now, if you want to go maybe 1 minute ago, you can go 1 minus, and you could take 7 divided by 24. That's going to give you 1 hour ago. You can do something like 3600 to give you 1 minute ago. And that's pretty much how the now function works. And I showed you the time formats. So that's pretty much all there is to date and time. There's some other more advanced concepts you can get at in the help, but that should get you started with working with dates. Again, the big takeaway for me and just my experience is if you're going to do a lot of work with dates, you need to do adding, subtracting, slipping dates and time. You're going to want to break it eventually into its month, days, and years. That's the best way. It's going to cause you the least amount of frustration. Break it into its principal components. Do all your additions, your functions, and then when you get ready, go ahead and convert it back to a real date. Take care.